is up, Survivor Thrivers? Authentically Me, Regina B, is back with another video. How are you? I hope you've been well. I hope you've been in good health. For those of you that are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where I go through therapy workbooks and I just take you along with me on the journey, hopefully to encourage you, to motivate you to start your own journey. Or if you feel like you're doing your journey alone and you want someone to go along with you, hope these videos are for you too. Let's get it started. I don't have very long. I want to try to get day 27 and day 28 in before my family gets home. To all my subscribers that have been here from day one, CD, thank you so much for supporting the channel and subscribing to the channel. And let's get into it. This is the original book that I started out this channel with. It's Not You, It's Them, 30 Days of Hope and Help for the Adult Child of a Narcissist Parent by Debbie Tudor. If you haven't checked out any of the previous videos from a few days ago or a few weeks ago, we have a puppy. She's a German Shepherd and she's teething still. So she got to my therapy workbook and she got at it. So that is why my book is so tattered. But I do recommend that you grab this book if you are going on a journey of your own and if you are the adult child of a narcissist. So let's get into day 27. Also, for those of you that are new, I already went through this book before. This is the book that started the channel. So if you want to check out the original, well, not the original, but when I first went through the book, it's like 2 or 3 years ago. And I'm just doing it now to see where I'm at on the journey, what I've kind of conquered and what I need to continue to work on throughout this journey. So let me stop talking and find day 27. Make sure my nose ring is straight. Yep, there we go. Okay. And I'm trying to get this done before my son gets home from work so that I just have some space and grace. He don't really be worrying about what I'm doing in here, but it's always nice to kind of shoot these videos when I'm home alone. Okay, so day 27, appropriate and inappropriate guilt. Pack your bags, we're going on a guilt trip. Quote is unknown. Scapegoats often have a hard time distinguishing between appropriate and inappropriate guilt. Since they've been blamed for all unhappiness in the family their whole lives, here's a clear distinction. When you yell at someone, you are guilty and need to apologize for the tone used. When you call names, you are guilty and need to apologize for the words used. When you set a boundary in a firm, quiet tone of voice and simple words, and the narcissist, enabler, or flying monkey gets angry, you are not guilty. They choose their responses as adults. You behaved appropriately. Discerning the difference between the appropriateness of your behavior and someone else's chosen response is the hardest thing for a scapegoat. But once you learn it, your confidence grows. Finally, you can be at peace with the protective boundary you have set. In psychology, we call that developing your inner locus of control versus being controlled from the outside by others' whims and opinions. Wow. Yeah, I totally agree with all of this. My thoughts. I love the quote that says, pack your bags, we're going on a guilt trip. And I like how she says scapegoats often have a hard time distinguishing between appropriate and inappropriate guilt. And I will say that is something that I still struggle with. I have to go to God in prayer about certain situations. I have to journal about it. Sometimes I even reach out to a friend about it. But I do struggle with that inappropriate and appropriate guilt to where it almost makes you doubt yourself. And I feel like when you doubt yourself, it kind of spirals into your everyday life. Should I do this? Shouldn't I do that? Why did I do this? Why didn't I do that? And so when she says, once you learn it, your confidence grows, I do agree with that because I really feel like struggling with inappropriate and appropriate guilt, I feel like it does diminish our confidence. And once we start to build our confidence by setting boundaries, by understanding what is appropriate guilt and what is inappropriate guilt, appropriate and inappropriate, then that does build our confidence. And I feel like it gives us a better foundation, like when we make decisions and stuff like that, if that makes sense. I like how she breaks it down and says, like, when you yell at someone, you're guilty and should apologize. When you call someone names, you're guilty and apologize. When you set a boundary in boundary in a firm, quiet voice and simple words, and the narcissist, enabler, or flying monkey gets angry, you are not guilty. And that is something that I also work with my children on, because I don't want them to struggle with that like I have. I want them to know that everybody is in control of their emotions. You can't make anyone do anything. Oh, I made such and such a school feel sad because I wanted to play with such and such at the time and not her, and she felt like I wasn't being her friend. I understand your feelings. That's not my intention, and that's not my responsibility. Other people's emotions is not for you to carry. It's not for you to carry. You can listen to people and you can, be supportive to people. Obviously, you want to show people respect, but as far as taking on the you made me angry, or you did it, it's like, no, that's not your responsibility. And us as childhood survivors of this, we have to make sure that we're not putting our emotions onto other people too. And sometimes we may do it and we're unaware of it. I know for me, I have done it, and my husband has said I've done it to him, and I was unaware. I was more so like, well, I thought I was just sharing my feelings with you, not dumping on you. I wasn't asking you to fix it. But, I had to take accountability and be like, if that's what I'm doing, I apologize. Like, I do not want you to feel like I am emotionally dumping on you at all. Nobody deserves that. So if you set a boundary with someone and they get angry and you've done it in an appropriate way, that is their responsibility to go process their anger, okay? And then discerning the difference between appropriateness of your behavior and someone else's chosen response. And she puts response in bold letters, okay? Is the hardest thing for a scapegoat. And it is. And she says, up here earlier, she said, because you've been blamed for all of the unhappiness in the family. And so it's like, it is one of the hardest things when you have been blamed, but as you grow older and as you take an honest look at situations, and even situations in your past, you can stand in your truth and say, no, I am not to blame for that. That shouldn't have happened to me. You shouldn't have spoken to me like that. You should not have called me out my name. Especially when you're the parent. I understand us as parents, we make mistakes, but calling your children out of their name like an explicit curse word, it's just wrong. And if that's happened to you, it's happened to me. You do not deserve that. You deserve respect. I grew up in an era and in a family culture where children are not respected. But children deserve respect, just like adults deserve respect, okay? So, but then she says, but once you learn it, your confidence grows. Finally, you can be at peace with the protective boundary you have set. In psychology, we call that developing the inner locus of control versus being controlled from the outside by others' whims and opinions. Yes, I feel my confidence growing in my choice. I feel like the more I continue on this journey, the more I develop myself, the more, I journal and pray about it. I feel confident in the decisions that I've made. My neighbor's children are homeschooled, and the daughter is pacing up and down the street, and, I'm being nosy, like, what's she doing? Okay, moving on. Affirmation. My behavior determines my guilt or innocence, not the opinions of others. We repeat our affirmations 3 times, taking deep breaths in and out. My behavior determines my guilt or innocence, not the opinions of others. My behavior determines my guilt or innocence, not the opinions of others. People's opinions are their own to have, but oftentimes they are wrong because people don't know the whole story. So if you're someone like me who has struggled with overly worrying about people's opinions, we're going to stop that. This is what that means to me. I determine my guilt or my innocence, not the opinions of others, because others do not know the whole picture. You don't know the beginning, you don't know the middle, and none of us know the end but God. And that's why I always keep saying go to God in prayer, because he's trustworthy, because he is there and was there from the beginning, from the middle to the end. He knows everything that makes you who you are, but people don't. And so their opinions of your choices, the boundaries that you set, the clothes you wear, the music you listen to, how you style your hair, what career you want to do, their opinions do not matter because they don't know the whole story. They don't see the full picture. And everybody has an opinion about something. It doesn't make it right. You can think it, but it doesn't mean that it's right. And so that's what that means. To me, moving along, I think we're making good time. Journal to heal. Speaking up without guilt. Write an appropriate boundary setting letter to your narcissist or others who pressure you below, outlining in detail what you will and will not tolerate. For example, I will not tolerate being criticized. Next, respond with what action you will take if it happens. And if you criticize me, I will, and in parentheses she puts, leave the room, hang up the phone, get out of the car, not spend holidays together, etc. So as you guys know, I'm just going through this. I originally wrote this down and I would come and share it with you. I'm not going to do that now. But let's see. It says, write an appropriate boundary setting letter to your narcissist or others who pressure you. Dear to whom it may concern. My life choices are my life choices. And if they make you uncomfortable and you're not able to keep your opinions to yourself, we can not talk about the topic. But if you feel like you just have to talk about it with me, I'm going to go ahead and get off the phone. I'm going to go ahead and change the subject. I'm going to go ahead and lower my contact or have no contact with you. And this is for my safety emotionally and mentally. From Regina. All right, let's go on to day 28, guys. We're almost to the end because it's 30 days. And then we're going to get into another therapy workbook. I haven't decided what it's going to be yet, but it's going to be a good one, guys. Day 28, it's not fair. We can waste our lives trying to right the wrongs of our childhoods by policing others. Debbie Tudor, that's her quote. Ooh. Being unfairly blamed for the golden child's problems or just generally being made the scapegoat often causes a highly developed sense of right and wrong in the scapegoated child that carries into adulthood. Being treated unfairly and then being told that life's not fair, just get over it, strikes a chord deep inside of us. And we can spend years fighting with and policing those around us in a futile effort to get justice. I see this in my patients who obsess over their attempts to fix, explain, or change relationships with the narcissist or others in their lives. Let me be clear. You are not wrong to have expected as a child to be treated fairly by your parents and to be frustrated even today by unfair treatment from others. But the goal of recovery is to accept that some people will never treat you fairly and to move away from contact with those people rather than trying to change them. Otherwise, it's beating your head against a brick wall, something that only hurts you. Wow. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. I even told my therapist, I found a new therapist and I'm really excited about her, and I'm just excited. But I told her, like, yeah, I have control issues. She calls it policing others. I call it, being controlling. And definitely, if I feel like I'm being treated unfairly, and this is something that I still struggle with, but I'm working through, if I feel like I'm being treated unfairly, it's a trigger. My husband, it's a trigger. And once I get triggered and I feel like you're treating me unfairly and you're not taking responsibility for behavior that you and I both know is inappropriate, oh baby, no. And like I said, my poor husband, even with him, no, you need to apologize. I used to inwardly get angry when, like, he wouldn't say sorry about something that I felt he should say sorry about. And then I would be like, you need to say sorry. And he would be like, well, wow, I didn't know you're offended. I'm sorry. Well, now I don't even want your I'm sorry because I had to ask you to say you sorry to me. But now, no, hey, you need to say you're sorry. Even with my children, and sometimes I guess helicopter parent policing them. If I hear them, somebody being unfair, somebody being manipulative, children, like, if you give me this, I'll give you some candy. But then, the oldest one is like, oh, I'm not going to open it now, but thank you for giving me that. No, that is not right. Go ahead and open it because you told her that you were going to give her 2 pieces of your candy if she gave you 2 pieces of hers. And now you cannot turn around. That's being manipulative. So go ahead and open it and give her what you said you would give her. So, yeah, I'm very much like, no, we're going to be fair. And so I do still struggle with that. I think I'm getting better at the realization. I know that I'm getting better at the realization that I need to accept that I accept that the probability of me getting an apology or a phone call from my mother is very unlikely. If there was to be contact between us, it would be required from her of me to do it. And just realizing that, it's like, that is so toxic and that is so abusive. And I'm not going to play that party game anymore. I'm not going to play that game anymore. And so I think I shared with you guys in a previous video, I had that, I guess you could say, epiphany or realization of like, wow, if it were to be another 40 years, I would be okay. But I know that she would not reach out to me. In fact, I had seen a story from someone else, maybe someone was sharing something, and they said that their narc parent went to their deathbed and was like, when I die, you do not tell them. I don't remember if it was a mother or a father, but yeah, she said that her mom was like, don't, And so I came to that epiphany of like, wow, yeah. And if contact was to be made, it would have to be me or my children, who she has silence treatment and ghosted, in an effort to, again, hurt me. But what you meant for my harm, God turned it out for good. That's Joseph right there. And Joseph is a great story to read if you come from a narcissistic family. Because what happened to Joseph has happened to some of us. Not literally, as far as, him getting thrown in a well and all that stuff, but his siblings, the sibling rivalry, the favoritism. He was technically the golden child to his father, but what that created, what that bond that was broken between him and his brothers. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. But it's like, eventually when he did end up seeing his brothers again, they didn't even recognize him. He knew exactly who they were. And he said, you meant it for my harm, but God meant it for my good. You meant to hurt me. And the decision that you made to hurt my children, you meant to hurt me. But God took what you meant for my harm and turned it to my good. Because I am developing as a woman. I am developing as a Christian. I'm developing as a wife, as a mother. It's helping me to grow. It's helping me to break generational family traumas. It's helping me to treat my children better. Yeah. So, let me be clear. I like how she says you are not wrong to have expected as a child to be treated fairly and to be frustrated even today by unfair treatment from others. But the goal of recovery is to accept that some people are just not going to treat you fairly. And the only thing you can do, like I said, is pray about it, journal about it. You can look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, because you need to hear this, if nobody says it to you, you did not deserve that. I did not deserve that. So, yeah, but otherwise you're beating yourself against a brick wall. Yeah, I agree with that. Wanting someone to change that clearly doesn't feel a need to change, feels like you're the problem. It like she said, is futile. It's not. Especially the older people get, the older that a person gets, the less likely they are to change certain behaviors. That's why sometimes we see people that are like 80 and 90, they're still being abusive towards their children, because I ain't got to change. I'm 80 years old. I'm not about to change how I'm talking to you, which is sad. Affirmation: I let go of policing. I let go of policing or expecting fairness from the narcissist. I let go of policing or expecting fairness from the narcissist. I let go of policing or expecting fairness from the narcissist. I let it go. The only person that I can police and that I can control is me. Is me. I let it go. And expecting fairness from someone who just simply does not have the capacity to do it. I saw one psychologist on YouTube talking about how narcissism in its extreme is a mental health issue. I can't expect something from someone they just simply cannot give. And yet I still have the responsibility to set boundaries and to make sure I am safe. So I let go. And I try to tell myself this on runs sometimes when I'm struggling. I can only control me. And so sometimes when I'm running, I'm like, all I can do is control this right here. I can control the pace. I can control my breathing. I can control my form. I can control the music. I can control the guided run that I pick. I can control this, but I cannot control others. I can't even control my children. And I think that's where some abuse stems from, because we want our kids to let's say the scenario is we're going somewhere and I've done their hair, their clothes are impeccable. Now it's time for me to get ready. So you go ahead and sit down. Y'all can get the iPad, or y'all can turn something on the TV. Don't be on the floor. Don't be this. So, you set a boundary to control them, because you don't want them to mess up their hair and their clothes before you leave, right? I go shower, get ready, come back. My husband's distracted watching something, so he's, and he doesn't think it's a big deal. And he's helped me with that. No matter where they go, they cute, right? I come back, one's all over the floor. Someone went and got their slime, and now they got because slime, the color slime, it will stain. They got the slime in their little dress. The other one decided that, she wanted some bangs. She didn't want her hair pulled up in a bun. She wanted a bun with some bangs, so she done combed this down. And when you try to control or micromanage, or I guess police, it's just going to turn the situation to frustration and stress and crying, because now I'm fussing at them and they're not understanding. It's my hair. Why can't I comb it down? Well, I got bored with what they were watching, so I wanted my slime. Well, I just wanted to sit on the floor because I was tired of sitting on the couch. But I said, I wanted you to sit down. And me and my husband joke, it's like, really, the only way you could get your, like when, no, I don't know if this is true. This is just my opinion from what I experienced as a kid. Kids that sit down, that are like my little kids' age, 11, 7, and 5, they sit there and they're like, oh, baby, they getting the belt or something. Yeah, they getting the belt. I can be like, you better make my face like that, point my finger. Baby, my kids is up. They just up. So I've come to the humble conclusion that realistically being able to control your children, no, you can't control anyone but yourself. You can direct them, you can correct them, but you cannot control them. I can't tell you how many times I have to yell out, make sure you're looking before you cross the street. Because kids are just, they know, but they're just, I'm trying to go across the street next door to see if the friends could play. And I've told them several times, so even that to the smallest thing, but I can control me. So in that scenario that I gave you, I couldn't control what they did, but I can control my response. And like I said, it hasn't been done perfectly. And when I had, like the times that I have flown over the top and just been completely inappropriate, I owned my guilt. Cause they're all sad now. Their faces are all gloom because I overreacted over something that really doesn't matter. Cause I care about someone's opinion. Oh, and look at her dirty hair, look like she combed her. So what? Keep your opinion to yourself. Why that baby got a stain on her dress? Because she's a child. Keep your opinion to yourself. So, my children have definitely helped me grow, but you can't really police others. The only person you can police is yourself. That's the point to that. The only person you control is yourself. And if you make a mistake, if you're a parent out there, you make a mistake, and again, like she said, we tend to not know the appropriateness and inappropriateness of our guilt. If you're a parent and you were scapegoated, do not be hard on yourself if you make a mistake while you're parenting. It's okay. Mistakes and failures are just signposts to where you need to go. I've made the mistake. That's why I can tell you the scenario, because I did overreact. But I felt that guilt and I was like, well, you overreacted. Now everybody's sad. And honestly, why? Because you're worried about the opinions of others. So now that made you get upset about things that don't even matter. And I had to go and apologize. I'm sorry I yelled at you. So I said all that to say, if you're a parent and you've made that mistake and you've done something narcissistic yourself, own it, take accountability for it. Even acknowledging it shows that you're not a narcissist. Have the appropriate guilt. Don't guilt shame yourself, but appropriate guilt. And reconcile with your children. I apologize. That was my mistake. All right, let's move on. Journal to heal. It's not fair. Describe a childhood memory or two where your rights or needs were brushed aside to accommodate the narcissist or the golden child. Describe a childhood memory or two where your rights or needs were brushed aside. I mean, I could probably name a bunch. And it could be due to narcissism, and it could just be because when you're a kid, nothing is in your control. And if you grew up, when I grew up, 80s and 90s and 2000s, like with my kids, what do you want to eat? What do you want to have for dinner tonight? It was, here's your dinner. So, I could think of so many different memories where my rights were pushed aside for other people. And yeah, it's not fair. And I'm So proud because I know before I could write down, and I still have things that are coming to mind right now, but I've made peace with it. That's why I'm not going into a specific event, because I've made peace. Yeah, it was unfair to get a math book smashed up aside my head because you want to go watch TV and this problem is clearly easy to you, but it's not to me. That wasn't fair. It wasn't fair for me to be around people that she didn't really know, I didn't really know. And then because you're caught up with a guy, you let your guard down as a mom, and this guy did what he did at 10. I was 10. It's not fair. But again, I don't know, guys. All things are working for my good. God has made all things work together for my good. So I can't really sit here and just, yeah, it wasn't fair, but it made me who I am today. And guys, as I'm going along on this journey, I'm kind of starting to like me. So yeah, you treated me unfairly. As a child, as a teenager, as a 20-something, 30, yeah. You also did some kind things, but it's okay, because I'm okay, and you're okay. And if you're not okay, it's okay, because you will be okay. You will be. So that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you guys again for rocking with the channel. When we come back next, I'm probably going to see if I can do 28, 29, and 30. But no, just 29 and 30, yeah, because I just did 27, 28. So 29 and 30 when I do the next video, whenever I am blessed and graced with the time to be able to do this. Like I mentioned briefly, I found a new therapist. She's a PhD, y'all. No, but I'm very excited. We had our first session last week. She's very intuitive. She experienced some of the same childhood traumas that I experienced. And if you're on this journey, I want to share this with you. If you're on this journey and you're trying to do something different, you're trying to be different, you're trying to heal. She called that the catalyst of change. And when you're going through that catalyst of change, there's gonna be a time period where you're going to struggle and you're going to feel alone. But keep pressing through, because once you get to the other side, all these doors will begin to open. And that gave me so much hope, because recently, especially coming through the holidays, I was struggling. And the fact that she said that, and I felt like during my devotionals and during my runs, I felt like that's what God was saying to me. I kept coming back to how seasons change and how sometimes it's difficult when seasons change. You know, we have to deal with fall, which can make you think of death, the dying of the trees. You know, then winter comes, you know, the gloominess. We've had like a string of gloomy days. Even with spring, you know, when plants burst through, some science botanists say that there's a pain when they crack through that shell. So for her to say that, it just was like, okay, I picked the right person, because that's exactly what I've been experiencing. And so I'm really looking forward to going on a journey with her. And yeah, and so I do recommend a therapist. If you're at a therapist and you don't feel like you're getting the help you need, try to find someone else and ask God to lead you to that right person. But I really, you know, enjoyed that, and I had never been called a catalyst for change. And she also said, you're a woman that needs empowerment. And I know maybe through these videos I seem powerful, and to a degree I am powerful, but there are still times in my personal life where I do doubt myself, and where I do lack confidence, and where I do overly worry about the opinions of others. But just being able to acknowledge those things means that there's an opportunity for growth. So just wanted to share that with you. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm a catalyst for change. And you can also say, I'm my own hero. I got that from a friend. Thank you so much for rocking with the channel. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Your support really means a lot to me. It's a sunny day here. I hope it's a sunny day where you are. If not, that's okay. Sunny days are to come. The sun is still shining. You just can't see it, right? So make sure you find an opportunity to get out there and get after your get after. Whatever your get after is, if you are able to get after it, I love you. God loves you so much.